morning, beautiful souls. Yeah, today I'm grateful for hot tea, great weather. It's nice and still got a little bit of chill in the air, but nice enough to get out and enjoy the day, especially before it gets really a lot of bugs and mosquitoes that'll be coming out soon, I'm sure in the coming weeks. And for each and every one of you, for the space we get to connect in, it's amazing that you can hop on your phone and connect with beautiful souls all over the world. I wanted to share with you today a little bit of something that I actually shared with the Beautiful Souls community this morning. If you don't know, I host a mindfulness community. It's all about heart-centered living and aligning with your most authentic self. And each morning at 7:30 for a half hour, we connect live and have some time to go inward and meditate together. And today's theme was from the language of letting go by Melody Beattie. I've shared this a time or two before, I think, on social media. And it's all about letting go of patterns of codependency. It's really great. Today's theme is all about appreciating ourselves, and I want to read it to you. We are the greatest thing that will ever happen to us. Believe it. It makes life much easier. It is time to stop this nonsense of running around, picking on ourselves. We may have walked through much of our life apologizing for ourselves, either directly or indirectly, feeling less valuable than others, believing that they know better than we do, and believing that somehow others are meant to be here and we are not. We have a right to be here. We have a right to be ourselves. We are here. There is a purpose, a reason, and an intention for our life. We do not have to apologize for being here or being who we are. We are good enough and deserving. Others do not have our magic. We have our magic. It is in us. It doesn't matter what we've done in our past. We all have a past, woven with mistakes, successes, and learning experiences. We have a right to our past. It is ours. It has worked to shape and form us. As we progress on this journey, we shall see how each of our experiences will be turned around and used for good. We have already spent too much time being ashamed, being apologetic, and doubting the beauty of ourselves. Be done with it. Let it go. It is an unnecessary burden. Others have rights, but so do we. We are neither less than nor more than. We are equal. We are who we are. That is who we were created and intended to be. That, my friend, is a wonderful gift. And our affirmation and prayer is, God, help me own my power to love and appreciate myself. Help me give myself validity instead of looking to others to do that. What a beautiful reminder of our worthiness to be here, right here, just as we are, to appreciate all of our idiosyncrasies and all of our gifts, and to let go of the past, those old patterns of doubt and self-degradation. So I have a question for you all this morning, and it is, what would change in your life if you truly believed and embodied your worthiness in every space and appreciated who you are, what would change in your life if you truly believed and embodied your worthiness and appreciated all facets of who you are? Everything. What a potent shift that would be. I would quit my day job and go all in on grief coaching. Ooh. My passions would ignite. I would be unstoppable. It's so interesting, right? We know here. We know. May not necessarily embody or fully believe that we have a right to be here, that we are worthy. And maybe we're unskilled in the practice of fully appreciating ourselves as we are. But the potent gift within mindfulness is returning home to that truth, embodying it, creating heart and mind coherence, which is much of our issue, right? In our hearts, we know these things to be true, but we don't embody them in a way, so we have incoherence, where the heart and mind are missing each other, and we fight against all of the other messages, whether blatant or subconscious, that are shown us in the world. And so we spend a lot of time trying to avoid and resist heavy emotions or hurt or pain that might come from those experiences, past or potentially present. Mind runs, right? We continue to go and get lost in it. We lose ourselves. Even before we enter those spaces, we're already in our minds thinking we don't belong. Oh, another one. I would not let governments instill fear into me. Yeah. And the beauty, though, the gift is we can take back our minds, right? There's a really powerful book by Michael Bernard Beckwith, and he talks about 4 stages of consciousness. And the first stage is victim consciousness. And that's where a lot of these ideas come from. We're victim to everything that we experience. Doesn't mean that we're not literally a victim in certain circumstances, because certainly we are. But I'm talking about the consciousness level of victimhood, where we are even a victim to our own thoughts, the repetitive patterns and cycles and phrases that speak ill of ourselves, right? And so noticing when we're in that space to pause, just to pause the pattern. You don't have to break it yet. Just stop it. And can you be with it and witness it? Be present to the pattern as it shows up. Where does it show up? Where is it most active in your world? Right? Is it at work? Is it at home? Is it with a certain family member or friend or other person in your world that you feel least valuable, least like yourself? And they may play a role in it, but ultimately, it's only activating a frequency, an idea, a belief, a trauma, a hurt, a wound that's already within us. And so in those moments, in those spaces, instead of purely blaming the other, whatever it may be, the government, all these things will exist always. They will transform and they will ebb and flow. The law of undulation is real. Things will change and we can be a part of that change for the better. However, we mistake the destination for idealism instead of emotional resilience and inner strength, presence, awareness, conscious choosing, right? Being able to show up in the face of adversity with a new set of skills, a heightened awareness, an evolved relationship with our emotions. And that's what the practice of meditation and mindfulness is all about. Being able to show up even in the face of great adversity or someone who directly is speaking ill of you. And within yourself say and know and believe, not so. We are equal. I am worthy. I have a right to be here. That, my friends, is liberation, and that is where peace lies. We can show up in that way instead of trying to carpet the forest to make ourselves more comfortable. That is the gift of the practice. But I loved when I asked the question, what would change in your life if you fully believed and embodied this truth, that I have a right to be here, that I'm worthy, and fully appreciating who you are, every facet of who you are. So many of you said liberation. I would change, I would act, I would do these things. And there's great freedom, and I could feel the energy shifting even in the live a bit, even if there was not just an elevation, but also an activation of some fear there, right? Because all of those are also related to codependent patterns, right? The ways we've traded authenticity for attachment and connection. Not realizing that we have inauthentic attachments now. And not only that, but the two don't have to be in opposition. They can exist. Authentic attachment, right? Transcending the old paradigms of duality, returning to oneness. But it takes work. You may lose a few people that you care about, or they may choose not to rise with you. And that's a lot of what can keep us stuck sometimes. And I understand that. I've been on that journey myself. I'm a divorced person. However, what I've learned along the way is anything that leaves my life because I'm being more myself was never aligned with me, was never really for me. It was only there for a season as an opportunity to learn. And so, though I honor the challenge that is before you and before all of us at any moment in time when we choose authenticity over attachment, right? And rather seek the most aligned attachments and connections of authentic attachment, those who really align with who we are, without having to perform or placate or diminish or show a version of ourselves instead of the most bright and brilliant version of ourselves. So, turning to authenticity, turning to what is natural for you. It all starts with appreciating for yourself, within yourself, who you are. And if you're like I was for a long time, I was so far away from myself, I didn't even realize, I wasn't aware of who I really was. Because I had spent so much time people-pleasing, putting others' needs before my own, or peacekeeping in the most sacrificial and authentic way, that I had no point of relevance to return to my authentic self, to say, oh, this is what I truly desire, because I had suppressed those voices or suppressed my authenticity for so long. But what's been beautiful along this journey, and I share this as a point of inspiration and maybe aspiration for some of you, is as I've shifted, those who really value who I am, value me for me, have stuck around and they've rode those waves with me as I learned things about myself, right? And as they've learned things about themselves, because in many cases I was enabling unhealthy patterns both in myself and in others. And I gave them back the responsibility for their emotional journey while still being a support, but in a new way, in a more balanced, interdependent kind of way, and taking the responsibility back for myself. No more blaming or shaming or naming or judging or projecting, but simply returning home and appreciating all that I am, all that they are, in our beautiful, shiniest and brightest parts of ourselves in the soul, and in the conundrum that is our humanity, which can be quite the dance to notice when our humanity arises and how it arises, and how funny it is at times. The oddities that show up, not realizing why we do some of the things we do. And then some of the most beautiful serendipities, falling in without missing a beat, to stand up for the things you believe and to express yourself freely. And what I've found is, as we practice daily this appreciation of who we are and why we are and how we are, and believing in our right to exist and show up exactly as we are, over time it becomes second nature, right? And it's all about what's familiar. And so as we practice these mantras or affirmations or show up to meditation daily, whatever your way of remembering is, over time it becomes second nature, because why? It's really familiar. It's like one of the fundamental truths of our biological makeup is that we seek familiarity, because familiarity means safety, survival. We understand that. We know that. But when that seeking familiarity is turned on its head, many of us have become all too familiar with self-doubt and self-degradation. And so when we slow down, even that is an act of returning home to the natural pace of life. Right? In nature, who is rushing? How often? Not very often. Although it's not always possible in our modern society, because we do have to work, we do have to take care of our families and children and whatever other responsibilities we all have as adults. We can intentionally, consciously make space for slowing, becoming more mindful, becoming more present. And in those moments, we allow ourselves to feel, allow the heaviness to move down and ground into the earth, and find clarity. Return home to our worthiness, return home to our divine nature. What a gift. You are a one-of-one, sharing your unique light and creativity and perspective and stories and visions in a way that only you can. Going back to appreciating ourselves, when I asked that question, so many of you said, I would do the thing that I want to do, right? Move into this career, move into that career. Let go of this relationship. So I challenge you to actually step in, right? Step into this embodiment of that appreciation. Just take the day and commit to appreciating yourself, validating your right to be and occupy any space that you are in, right? This is what has allowed me to change, because I wasn't in a rush. I accepted that anything that was worth having wasn't necessarily going to be easy to get, right? Building a home, returning home, going on that journey back to your authentic nature. And instead of chasing, I slowed down and I just practiced quite the opposite. Sitting, right here, being with my mind, being in solitude, which can be quite scary for many of us. But when you slow down and take that time and allow whatever comes to come, heavy thoughts, the fear, the self-doubt, it's only coming because that's your pattern. But by sitting and being present, you give yourself an opportunity to break that pattern. That's what we do every morning in the Beautiful Souls community. That's the reason I started the community. Many people were asking, were you always this calm? What's your energy? Where does that come from? It's just returning to pure, authentic appreciation for this life and for myself and for all of life. Not greater than or lesser than, but we're all equal. You can know you're in pain if your ego sneaks in and says, I'm better than, or they're better than, or I'm lesser than. That's a tool of the ego. The authentic nature understands that we all just showed up here one day in our meat suits. We're all trying to figure out this mystery. And we all have this great gift of sensation, visual, mental, physical. And we'll be here for however many years we are gifted, and then we won't be here, in this form at least. And in between, we just make up stories about why and how and what's more important and what's less important. But the reality is it's all brilliant and amazing. I mean, think about it. Right now, you may have just slid in to this live. Maybe you're feeling more grounded. It's because you're reconnecting to what's authentic in nature. Slower pace, hearing the sounds of nature, hearing the creek, the birds, the chipmunks, maybe the wind, the white noise, stillness, the woodpecker. My voice in a relaxed tone. And that creates a shift. It's a frequency alignment, right? But it's nothing you can't do for yourself by just slowing down. Becoming more present. Right? But it takes practice to even allow yourself to say, you know what, it's okay. I value me enough to give myself time to chill. And not just chill to numb out, but chill to be present. Chill to cleanse and clear. Chill to rest in the natural alignment with the pace of all of life. Outside of the human construct that was founded in anxiety and insecurity. Right? So notice what you allow. The breadcrumbs of our unconscious belief system. The breadcrumbs of all of these beliefs and ideas as they surface. Be present to them. There's a reason they're coming up. They're trying to offer you a gift, an expansion of your awareness. So that when those things arise, say, oh, that's that old pattern, that old belief from childhood, an old story I know far too well that no longer needs to be told. Just recognized, offered a gentle space, but not the driver's seat, right? So that's the gift of mindfulness. It's a large part of the reason I am hosting the Beautiful Souls community. It's something I want to share with you for a moment. And then I'm also open. I know some of you have been sharing comments. If you have any questions or thoughts, I'd love to have more of a conversation with you. But the Beautiful Souls community, starting next Monday, will be going through 3 big themes for spring. The first one is boundaries and self-care, which is has much to do with what we're talking about today. Creating boundaries around how we show up and what we allow. And self-care of appreciating who we are, recognizing our worthiness and the validity of our existence. We'll be doing that for the whole month of April. And then in June, it'll be all about self-compassion and self-regulation, so that we learn how to be with ourselves in the midst of these moments where we're triggered. And demanding work environments or home environments, there's a lot happening, and it takes time. So it's important to have a support system, right? That's what the community is about. And then in July, it's all about authentic communication. Communicating authentically your needs, your wants, who you are. Even in spaces where you know some may want to turn a deaf ear toward you or refute what you have to share. And cultivating the emotional resilience to not match energy, not to be derailed, but to stay connected, coherent in mind, body, and spirit. And so we have a seasonal registration for the community. And we're only taking 50 new members. The registration closes this Friday at midnight. And right now, I think in the last day or two, we've had about 10 or so new signups. So now I guess there's 40 spaces available. And so if that resonates for any of you, we'd love to have you in the community. So many of us on this journey who are working through the same thing. There's something about our shared humanity, recognizing you're not alone in your experience. It's another idea or thought that slows us down in our journey. But when we intentionally show up to a space that's all about being our authentic self, showing up in love, creating healthy boundaries, that becomes familiar, right? What we've been talking about. And so, if you would like to join, please join us. Also, current rate, I think it's $33 a month. It's very affordable, is our intention, right? For half-hour meditation, a private social media network, and full access at any time to all of the meditations that are uploaded daily, as well as access to over 700 meditations we've recorded in the last couple of years that cover the full range of our human experience. So at any point in time, if you want to connect, it's available to you. And this will be the last time that this will be offered at this rate, as when we reopen for the summer session, the registration, the rate will go up. So wanted to share that all with you. It's available to you. And some of you have written a few things, and I'd love to just take a moment and see what's coming up for all of you around this topic. Please ask, share. No question too big or small. Let's see. Courtney says, being alone can be quite healing, but we heal in community. What's your take on these ideas? It's a great question. And I'll start with this. My thoughts fundamentally is anytime there's a rigid approach to anything, we create a blind spot. Right? So we heal in community, but we also heal alone. There's a time and a season, a rhyme and a reason for all things, all facets of our existence. And I think the most important thing is temperance, the just right amount aligned with who you are, how you present today, and what's available to you, and what you're being drawn to, what feels in alignment, right? So healing, in my understanding, in my definition, is all about our capacity to hold our suffering, right? Doesn't mean we don't suffer anymore. Doesn't mean all of those traumas are totally gone, although there are some that we may never struggle with again. But the way to practice this capacity, right, to hold all of these experiences is the balance of both. Our time in isolation, maybe our season to really heal. I know I've gone through an intense season of just needing to be alone because as an empath, I was so drawn into other people's ideas or perceptions or thoughts, because that was my own pattern, that I couldn't hear my own. And so I just needed this time away to just be in my own space and see how I felt in my own energy when I did or did not choose certain things in my life. And that was very healing because it helped me to understand myself, because I didn't have the outside energy or perspectives. However, the next phase of that was, okay, now I know this about myself. I understand my own energy. But I have all of these people in my life who I care for and I love, and I want to spend time with them. So how does it feel when I bring this more authentic, aligned version of myself in these spaces, especially in some of those relationship dynamics that were highly traumatic and triggering? Well, that became the practice, the next stage of the practice, right? And the space in between going to those really dynamic relationships was to practice it with other people in a neutral kind of environment. And that's what the Beautiful Souls community is really about, is to understand our shared humanity, but also connect in a way with other people where we get to just see what's being triggered in certain ways, where we can also be held and feel safe. And the stakes are a lot lower, right? And then, okay, I'm going to go see my parents this weekend, and we have this history, right? So I'm going to practice embodying this thing that I know they always complain about, I know they always have issues with, right? Or we're going to try to do this activity or whatever it might be. And I found the most important thing is to set an intention, right? So intention is about your state of being, not necessarily what you're going to do, not the goal, right? Which is also important. But what state of being, what energy do I want to be in as I return to these communal spaces, as varied as they may be? And also understanding this is my bandwidth. They may want me to stay for the whole week. I've got 48 hours. That's what I've got. Or I've got a very measured, 3 or 4 days. And I've got to have this time to myself and this time with these folks, right? And honoring that, even if there's pushback, and letting them know it's not personal. This is just what I need. I'm going to honor that. And I still love you, and I'll see you at the designated time, right? No longer betraying yourself, but it's a dance. And so this question, we heal in community and we heal alone. It's very dynamic. It's non-linear. We need all of it. I think every person needs all of it. Some of us are more extroverted and need less time in isolation. Some of us are more introverted, if you're like me. And you need more time in isolation. But it's about knowing your unique, individualized makeup and honoring it. And the thing is, we are a dynamic unfolding and expanding of the universe as well. So we're always changing. So who are you today in this season of your life, and what do you need? And how can you best honor it without betraying yourself and maybe making the compromises you need, right, with work and other responsibilities you have? It's a dance. But those are my thoughts. Let go of any rigidness with it and understand that healing is all of it. And healing is about our capacity to hold our suffering. It's about compassion. Thank you, Courtney. It's a really great question. Let's see. Someone's saying I'm worried about the conversations I may need to have with others about what I need to be authentic. Yeah, it's valid. But I want to encourage you maybe to look a little deeper. It's probably less the conversation and more about what feelings will be coming up. Make it personal, less objective, more personal. What feelings will come up in this conversation? What are the stories I'm telling myself about how this has to go? And why is the story ending right after the conversation and not 6 months later, after we've had several conversations where they've had a moment to be introduced to the new ideas I'm presenting? They get to process it alone. When we take a little break, we come back, we have another conversation. I hear their more thoughtful response. I show up with compassion again, or maybe I'm frustrated that day, right? It's a dance. It takes time. And then 6 months down the line, we've now realigned in this new way. Right? Where, wow, I didn't realize Joel was this way. I didn't realize this person was that way. I didn't know this about them. Maybe there's a deeper connection. And maybe it's time to let the relationship go. I'm not going to just sugarcoat it to the bright side, because certainly that's also a realistic outcome. In either case, the question is, do you want to stay in this space where you're trading your authenticity for the attachment? Or would you rather be free to really be seen and heard and appreciated for who you actually are, and give the same gift to others? It takes courage, and it takes time. So be kind to yourself wherever you are in that journey. Is this community interested in creating in-person connections down the road? My soul misses warm-blooded relating. Oh, thank you, Aaron. Such a great question. Yes, that's something we're working on and trying to figure out. It's a global community, so it takes some time to try to figure out how that can resonate. But at the moment, what's been happening organically is a handful of times of the year, I'll be either creating my own retreat or being a part of other retreats or collaborating, and members of the community who feel aligned with the retreat topic will show up and we'll meet in person. And I feel like last fall there was a good group of us that all joined together at the Creative Essence retreat in Northern California, north of San Francisco, and it was really lovely to put your arms around one another, give each other a big old hug after talking for all this time, and to get to walk and experience physical life together for that time. So the answer is yes, but no hard dates for those. Are you still working with the Rise Journal method? It's been a while since I was here last, but got a lot of relief and loving relationship from opening up a space for my authentic self. Ooh, great question. Yeah, let me fill you in. So Rise Journal is something I've done my entire life, and I'm hoping this microphone doesn't fall. And now it is something that'll be a part of the community offering. So for these last 2 years, the Beautiful Souls community has been meditation every day and a sound healing on Sunday. And now we're adding somatic practices on every Wednesday. We're alternating between Qigong and yoga. We have 2 new instructors, Charlene Dunk and Naima Meyer. They've been members of the community and they're amazing, certified teachers. And on Thursdays, we're now adding guided journaling every Thursday. And so a lot of that will be the Rise Journal, but it's going to evolve and adapt to whatever the weekly theme is. So as I shared earlier, I'm not sure if you were in here or not, but the big theme for April is boundaries and self-care. So every Thursday in April for 4 weeks, we'll have a guided journaling session, and it's going to be really beautiful. We're combining all of the practices. I wanted a more holistic experience, and while I love to share, I'm not a certified yoga instructor or Qigong instructor. And so the rhythm of the community is evolving. So each week there'll be a sub-theme within the broad theme for the month. And I'll introduce that on Monday mornings. We'll have a meditation around it. On Tuesdays, we'll expand on that theme with another meditation by one of our instructors, Sybil Himes. She's phenomenal. Has a really amazing voice and energy and presence and perspective. And then we're going to feel that theme in our bodies as we practice yoga or Qigong, whatever the practice is that week, to move the energy. And then we'll connect more deeply in contemplation and processing through the guided journaling on Thursdays. And every Friday will be a mantra practice. So the truths we unveil through the first part of the week, we're now going to affirm, as we are affirming today. We're talking about appreciating ourselves, right? Because there's so much power in saying that to yourself. Not that the affirmation alone is going to change your life, but you're making it familiar. And as you're saying it to yourself, you're being faced with the heavy emotions or resistance that might be surfacing within you when you say, I am worthy, I am enough, I have a right to be here. And as you release the heaviness around those thoughts, they can more freely reside within you. And after we do the affirmation practice on Friday, on Saturdays, we hold space for silence, the traditional practice. There'll be at least 5 minutes of silence throughout most of the meditations and sessions. I'll play guitar. It's a music therapy component that helps us to ground and become more present and feel more safe and calm. But on Saturdays, there'll be mostly silence to contemplate and integrate in whatever way feels right for you. Noticing how you feel in the silence. Even in that space, right? You notice what expectations you might have had for me to continue at whatever rhythm I was speaking at, or just the discomfort. And when you sit in extended silence, you get to become more present to all the layers that are the foundations of those discomforts, and allow those to abate. And then on Sunday, we have a healing sound bath, and it's kind of the opposite of Saturday, which is mostly silence. Sunday is all about sound healing. So I'll just be playing, having grounding tones. And when the weather permits, I'll be outdoors, and so we'll get some nice scenery, fresh sun, and we'll be supported by beautiful sounds you hear now. But all of this is making these states of being familiar as we do the work in body, mind, and spirit, opening our hearts. And so that's the beauty of the practice and the community. And of course, in the interim, you can connect about what's coming up for you to share. Everything in the private social network we have that is more focused and intentional than clearly Instagram, which is everything, and all these other platforms which have their place. And finally, if you can't make those live sessions, everything's available in the community archive, which is, I think, reaching, near 1,000 sessions, because we have over 700 meditations, dozens of workshops that we've done over the years, and sound baths, probably days and days worth of just healing sound and tones from the guitar and nature that I've recorded over the last few years. So all of that is available to you. Have I narrated any books? Your voice is a dream. Thanks, A Soul Called D. One, I recorded myself reading The Prophet by Khalil Gibran, one of my favorites. And I think that moved into the royalty-free space a couple of years ago. I think once the author has been passed for over 70 years or something like that, that happens. And so if you're interested in that, I think the recording is available on YouTube and Insight Timer and the Beautiful Souls community, I think. It's been a while since I've checked if that's there right now. Let's see. I'm not sure how to say this name. Lachimolala KD. Hope I'm saying your name right. How to be with closed ones, which doesn't want to heal or to be better, but you can't see them suffer either. Acceptance is the first word that comes to mind. Because your suffering is all about your expectations. You say you can't see them suffer. And so that tells me a couple of things. One, your own attachment to their expectations for their best outcome in your view is what causes you to suffer. And two, it's also taking responsibility for their journey. Instead of accepting it's their journey, they get to show up for it or not in whatever way that they want. I think that was definitely one of the more challenging parts of the journey. As you grow, as you change, as you choose better and learn better for yourself. And maybe you've, beat a dead horse, as they say, by sharing some of these ideas and the wisdom that you've learned along the way with others who you see in a similar place. But they don't want to act on it. They're too paralyzed by their fear. You suffer. But there's a phrase that these phrases, they sound kind of rude, but they're meant to be light or to kind of break up the energy. And one is by Marshall Rosenberg, who created nonviolent communication. Beautiful teaching. It's one of the workshops that we have in the Beautiful Souls community about having these hard conversations. But one of the principles of nonviolent communication is enjoy their pain. Not meaning that you actually find joy in their pain, but it means allow them their pain. Because it's their responsibility, it's their choice, it's their own doing at a certain point. Maybe not the initial trauma, what happened, but the way they're choosing to suffer at this point is their own doing. And then the other phrase is, in the Buddhist sense, it is idiot compassion. I'm not calling you an idiot. I'm saying that this pattern that I've definitely participated in and still do from time to time, is what they call idiot compassion, where you're sacrificing yourself, your own health and wellness when they're not showing up, right? And so over the years, I had to set boundaries myself with certain people in my life. I had a friend in college who would always vent about an issue he was having with someone in his life. But the way he would do it, I was studying, for those of you who don't know, I studied jazz guitar in college, and so I spent a lot of time practicing, and it was very important that I practice or I wouldn't pass. And so I spent a lot of time just in my room working out things. And this guy would just bust into my room and say, "Joel, blah, blah, blah," and he would just vent, right? And so the first handful of times, I had compassion on him. We'd sit there for hours and he would vent and I would empathize and we'd talk and kind of offer ideas and ways to shift the energy and shift the situation. He wouldn't do any of them and he'd come back week after week after week. And after a while, I realized he just wanted to vent and stay in that pattern. And one day I just had to have that conversation with him and say, "My friend, I care for you deeply and I do not want you to hurt or suffer. But it is clear from your actions that you have no intention of changing this pattern. And I have nothing else to offer you. I have to work right now. I have to practice. This is very important to me. It is not healthy for me to continue to dwell in this pattern. And I don't think it's healthy for you, but that is your choice. But I will no longer be participating in this pattern." Right? It was hard to say that because I care for him. I didn't want him to suffer. But I also care for this person right here. And I don't want him to suffer either. And at a certain point, we all have it. We all have our boundaries. We all have our needs. We have to set them. And so, after that, we were still friends. We still hung out. But he didn't come to me with that story. Right? And if he did suffer, he found someone else. And I think over time, he shifted that situation. But what you have to realize is that many of us who are in these patterns, we're also enablers. We don't use that term a lot. We say people pleasers, but we're enablers, right? And so the best thing that we can do is take a step back, acknowledge that this full adult person has the capacity, should they choose it, even though it's challenging, even though they're afraid, they have the capacity to make a new decision and go through the whole process of being with their emotional turmoil, allowing it to level out, find center, and land in a new place in their life. And we get to let go of our pattern of needing to take on too much responsibility when it's not our place and suffer with them, but rather be a safe and soft space to conversate and connect, while also practicing the strength of saying, hey, I want to connect and I'll be available in a certain context. But after a while, this is my threshold, this is my capacity. Right? So, in short, let go of the old pattern of taking on what isn't yours. Give them back the responsibility of their life. And accept that their outcomes will be based on their choices, as they always have been, and not on yours. And you can love them and still have a relationship with them, although it will shift, and it will also challenge you to step into a more authentic version of yourself. So, sending you love. It's not easy, but that's the journey. That's my feedback. So, with that, I'm going to let you all go for today. Say thank you for joining me. And hope that you'll set an intention to live and embody all that you are, letting go of the old patterns of fear and self-doubt, because that is our greatest gift to this world, to be exactly who we are. As cliche as it may sound, it liberates you from those old patterns, gets you out of that depression and the funk, and it also allows us to be warmed by your light and inspired to do the same. So, sending you all so much love and light, beautiful souls. If you'd like to learn more about the community, you can sign up at asoulcalledjoel.com. At the moment, there's about 40 spaces left, and registration closes at midnight on Friday. So, if it resonates, we hope to see you there, and if not, we'll see you soon. Be well, beautiful souls. Much love and light. Peace.